so strong.
Alright, what's up guys? Welcome to Vintage Genetics, where it is all about classic bodybuilding. And today will be a chest workout, and we're going to do supersets this time. Basically 3 exercises comprised of 2 supersets on each exercise. And we're going to start out with the chest press, and who doesn't love to get a good pump right away in the chest workout? So let's get it done on the first superset. That's right, as we are moving closer to the show, I like to incorporate supersets. It allows you to actually go, a little more heavy per exercise, but because of the second set following the first set, the superset, basically 2 exercises, that means that the volume is really going up, getting a better pump in the muscles. And that's why I like to do this first exercise, the chest press, because it allows me to do quite a lot of weight in a very safe way, but at the same time get an incredible pump. And as I mentioned at the beginning, we are only going to do 3 basically exercises in total, and with that I mean 3 times 2, so 3 times 2 supersets. And that means that in total we will be doing 6 different exercises, but 3 different blocks of exercises. And that makes this workout a lot quicker, but at the same time a lot more challenging, as you will see. So this first exercise is a chest press with a regular grip at first. So we are starting out with about 15 to 12 reps on the regular grip first, and then 15 to 12 reps on the hammer grip. But as we move on higher with the weight, we move on to lower reps as well, because the higher the weight, if you still try to do the same volume, your form will simply not be there. And what I want to always do on the chest press is get a very good contraction and a good stretch. Of course, with a heavy weight you can always get that optimal stretch, but try to get that optimal contraction, because that will give you those chest quality striations if you do this year in, year out with consistency. That is what bodybuilding is all about. So as you can see, it already is getting quite heavier. I have to say that the regular grip on the chest press feels pretty easy no matter what weight I use, but the moment that I move to the hammer grip, then you will feel a contraction in the chest that will be unbelievable, especially because you already tired it out, pre-exhausted it by using the regular grip first. If you then immediately follow it up with the hammer grip, which you are able to do on most chest presses, most chest presses I've been on, you can do those 2 grips right back to back. But trust me, the following 10 reps, following the 10 reps of the regular grip, the hammer grip feels incredibly difficult. Just try it out. And as you see on the regular grip, I try to control the weight at least a little bit on the way down, because the elbows are more flared out here, so it's more dangerous for the shoulders, and especially when you have front delt issues, front delt injuries, previous injuries, you want to look out on the stretch part there, because it really does impair the front delts a lot if you don't do it in a controlled manner. Here you can see that their hammer grip version is really difficult, because this version, really the contraction here, it changes compared to the regular grip, because this is really, kind of like the end motion is kind of like a fly, because that is the maximum contraction you can possibly get. And this regular grip at the beginning is more for the stretch. You get a different kind of contraction, but in my opinion, it's not 100% contraction. It's more, a stretch-based exercise, just like the bench press is. It's impossible to get a very good contraction because the hands are too far apart. However, if you do this exercise, I would want you to do a chest press with converging handles. As you can see here, the moment I push forward, the handles don't stay straight, they actually move closer together, and that is needed to get an incredible contraction on those chest muscles for that incredible pump. Right, the next superset exercise will actually be the fly. So we just did a pressing movement, 2 in 1, targeting the chest from different angles. And we'll do the exact same with the flies. First we do regular flies and then finishing off with a fly for the bottom of the chest, which is something, if you haven't tried it out, is something you should really give a shot. So let's start out with the superset of flies. So again, this is a very easy superset to do. You basically can literally, just like the chest press exercise supersets, you can use the exact same machine, the same cables. You don't have to move at all. Just change the positioning of your body. So first we do the regular cable flies that you all you guys have done, all you guys know how to do those correctly. Stretch out the chest fully, contract the chest fully. We only do about 10 reps then, because this version is a lot more difficult. This is the upright version. So you basically pretty much stand upright, and the stretch here is incredible, but you also target the lower chest here a lot more. So for people who have trouble getting that hanging chest with mass, try to do those cable flies in the upright positioning, because here you can see that the upper chest is contracting. You can see a very good stretch. If you are lean enough, you can see, if you do this exercise, you can see whether you're stretching out enough, because then the muscle fibers will appear again. So the muscle fibers will appear to the maximum during a maximum stretch and during a maximum contraction. In between they also show, but not as clearly as during those 2 moments. But trust me, the upright version is again the more difficult version, which is why these supersets are so amazing to do. And you also get a pretty amazing pump by doing this. It's an isolation movement, so basically nothing else is working but the chest. Of course, the front delts are always working a little bit, which is why I always advise not to do too much front delts throughout the week if you already are training chest once or twice a week, because then the rear delts and side delts will simply lag behind the front delts, which in 99% of the cases that is actually the case. And also here, look out with the weight. Of course, the regular flies will always feel a bit easier than a fly variation that you're not used to. So this fly still feels relatively easy with this weight, but then once you move to the superset with the upright positioning, the movement becomes a lot more difficult. And again, on the stretch part during this very upright movement, you have to look out, because again, the front delts might be in danger if you let the weight go. So always control the weight on every single centimeter, every single inch of the range of motion. Here you can see that the contraction part is really difficult to complete. It's basically completing a most muscular pose, so that's a nice benefit as well. Right guys, the next superset will actually be the regular bench press, but this time on a Smith machine, because there's no spotter, but you can go to the all out with this version of the bench press on the Smith machine. You're always safe. So we're doing a pressing movement after having done the flies, and this is a recommendation for everyone who doesn't feel the chest during a bench press. So if your chest is fully pumped and then you do the bench press, you will feel the chest, and then after this we go right away to the bodyweight dips to the maximum every single time. So that won't be just 10 reps, but reps until failure. So let's get it done. So what I love to do is, after having a great pump in the chest, after exhausting the chest, then do the bench press. This is a tip that I really want you guys to follow up on. Even if you're bulking, no matter what you're doing, if you want to increase your bench press, no matter what your goals, simply try to do a lot of exercise for chest beforehand and then leave the bench press as the last exercise. I'm simply doing it in a Smith machine here for safety reasonings. I'm, not far out from the Arnold Classic in this video, and I don't want to injure myself by not having a spotter behind me and doing a heavy bench press. So that's why I do it in a Smith machine. But you guys, if you have a spotter, should definitely try it on a regular bench press machine, a bench without a Smith machine, and then you will feel the incredible difference in the chest, the mind-muscle connection, the stretch in the chest that you normally would not feel if you would start out with the bench press. Because a lot of people have trouble connecting to the chest during a heavy exercise like the bench press. But trust me, you might as well cut the weight in half after already having done all those exercises beforehand. So the bench press is an amazing exercise to fully stretch the chest, but as you can see, you also contract the chest pretty much, but the actual benefit of the bench press is that you're able to overload the muscle with more weight than usual, which is one of the key factors of muscle growth: progressive overload. And once we've done the bench press, at least with 10 reps, we move on to the body weight dips. Now I weigh around 114 kilograms in this video, so that's still more kilograms than I just did on the bench press, which makes this exercise quite heavy, but I go to failure on every single set of these bodyweight dips, which is why I can make this superset my last 2 exercises for the chest, which actually does make it 6 exercises in total, giving a great volume to the chest, a great volume in terms of amount of reps. But at the same time, we finish it off within like 30-40 minutes, which is amazing as well. So here I'm going pretty much to failure as well until I almost cannot go upwards anymore, and then going again to the bodyweight dips. And every time you notice that you go to the bodyweight dips, like the first time I was able to do at least 15 or more reps, the second time around 10 reps, and now I won't be able to do a lot of reps at all. And that means that I did the workout properly, because if you would still be able to do these reps easily, then you did not work out hard enough. And again, this exercise is great for the lower chest and the overall chest development. Right, after having done 3 of those superset exercises, so that's basically 6 exercises for chest already, going to the maximum, especially at the last superset with the dips. It's time to hit the triceps after chest. And with the triceps we're going to do the same. We're again going to do some supersets, and the first superset will actually be a tricep with the rope. So you will see exactly what I'm talking about right now. To keep this workout superset worthy, we are bringing back a very old exercise, a variation that I like to do a few years ago to build up the triceps. The trisets of tricep pushdowns. Basically 3 different variations of the tricep pushdown, which I want you to try also, because this feels amazing to get a great pump and a great mind-muscle connection in those triceps. So basically you start out with the rope tricep pushdown, then move over to basically the wood chopper rope pushdown, or the rope pushdown skull crusher, which is the second part of the tricep, and then move over to the overhead tricep extension, and that way you basically targeted the entire tricep head. So first, with the regular tricep pushdown, you hit the small head of the triceps most, and it's always an emphasis, so you don't literally isolate it, it's also an emphasis. So first you emphasize the small head, and then with the wood chopper version you emphasize the medial head a little bit more, and then with the overhead tricep extension you target the long head more, which exactly targets all 3 heads of the triceps, which is what you want. And what you want to also look at is when you contract and fully stretch out the arm during a rope pushdown, you want to see that contraction happening in the triceps. If you don't feel it, if you don't see it, if you're not able to fully stretch your arm, then you're simply going too heavy on an exercise. And here you can see a technique that I use when I pretty much am not able to finish the movement. Instead of separating the cables at the end, I simply keep them together, making the exercise a little bit easier and letting the medial head work a little bit more to assist the long head in finishing the exercise. And this is one of the best unilateral exercises you can do for the triceps, in my opinion. So it's not a cable, not a handle, it's actually a rope. And that feels amazing in terms of contraction of that tricep head. So what you want to do is not to do a regular rope pushdown like we just did, but actually really make it a different exercise. So the angle that I'm doing this exercise with is a lot different from the regular rope pushdown. And you can also see that the type of machine that I'm leaning against is different as well. I have something leaning against my back. Alright, this will be the last tricep exercise. It's a unilateral movement, meaning that I do it one arm at a time to really squeeze the tricep, really focus on one arm, and that's much easier to connect with the mind-muscle connection to the actual muscle. As we just basically did 3 tricep exercises in one exercise with an ultra or a tri-set, which I used to do quite a lot back in the days. I'm bringing it back and then ending it off with one unilateral exercise with a rope, getting a very good squeeze in the outer head of the triceps to make it even wider from the front. So let's do the second set. And as I mentioned, I'm leaning with my back against this plateau right here, and that allows me to really focus on the triceps itself without having to balance or contract the abs so much. Simply isolate those triceps. So what I just said, you really focus on that small head, but again, when I'm going upwards, I make sure that I go upwards high enough to stretch the long head as well, making it a more complete exercise for the triceps, because you don't only want to focus on one little head, you want to focus on the entirety of the triceps whenever possible. And a benefit of doing unilateral exercises is that you don't need a spotter in an exercise like this. You can simply help yourself with your other arm. So the moment that you fail, you focus on the negative portion of the rep, so going upward slowly, and then the positive portion of the rep you help yourself with your other arm. You see right here, I'm doing the exact what I just said. I'm going upward slowly, stretching the tricep to the max, because there you still have some energy left, but the positive motion going downwards, you help yourself, completing a few more force reps, which allows this exercise you to go beyond failure, which is what you want for progressive overload, time and attention, and an incredible pump, of course. And also guys, the weight that you use here must be very aligned. If you want to get a proper full contraction for those detailed qualitative muscles in the triceps, don't go too heavy, but focus on the range of motion. From the Vintage Genetics shaker cup, of course, and right after drinking this, we're gonna go upstairs to do the cardio. Alright guys, so this is usually the form of cardio I like to do, a resistance bike, and this is actually an air bike, so the harder you pedal, the more resistance it gives, and it's actually a nice air conditioning at the same time as well, because you literally replace air movement, so you get nice cooling as you get harder from the cardio. I'm gonna do this for half an hour, keeping the heart rate in between 120 or 130. I'm gonna do it for about half an hour, right after the chest training, and then have my post workout meal. And it's a very low day today, the lowest carb day. So the biggest breakfast, the biggest meal of the day was the breakfast, and then the second biggest meal of the day is post workout, and the rest zero carbs. So anyway, time to do the cardio, and what I don't want you to forget is stay golden.